Hey guys, it is Halloween in 2020, and what a fun year this has been. And I am proposing this video to you to be in knowledge about animals and toxicities, such as candy, things like that. Well, just so you know, I am dressed up as a famous character. It's an anime character. One of my favorites from Naruto. He does not have any special powers, but he has worked diligently as a just regular, normal person to be above and beyond. And I just love him so much. He's a really cool character. Rock Lee is, he's just a badass.
You must have gone after him. He must have been half delirious. Instead of his prescription, he took a bottle of elixir that I'd left in here.
Oh, no. You better sing. It will. The hurricane! Yeah!
Rock Lee also has a famous power. Although he is human, he has something called Drunken Fist. Drunken Fist is essentially where he becomes so powerful that it's scary as a human. You know, it's just part of us, so, yep. One moment, please. I'm so sorry, but I have to take my medicine at a certain time. Everybody was kung fu fighting. Wah! Those cats were fast as lightning. Let me take my medicine. Cyclone! I can't. I need elixir time. Anywho, let's talk about toxins in dogs and cats. One thing you should know, there are artificial sweeteners out there, such as xyletol. It's in a lot of gums. It's in a few different candies. This is seriously toxic to dogs. If you have gum containing xylitol that your animal has ingested, you should bring them to an animal ER immediately. Also, a type of food that we all love, or some of us. As a kid, I did not like avocados. I liked guacamole, but not avocados. Avocados are toxic to dogs. as well as alcohol. Don't feed your dog alcohol and think it's funny. Same thing as marijuana. They affect these animals differently. For you and me, it's all fun and games. For four-legged animals, their anatomy is different. It's not okay for them to ingest these things. Onions and garlic. Oh, you think not a big deal, it's a vegetable, whatever. Onions and garlic are toxic to animals. These onions can lyse a red blood cell for dogs and cats and kill them. It's very, very, very serious. If you happen to feed your animal an onion, if they happen to get one off the ground, take it to the animal yard immediately. Grapes and raisins. Okay, so you think about raisins. Raisins are like old, mushy, older types of grapes. They're worse. Raisins are worse than grapes. So grapes, even specifically, we don't have 100% knowledge of what it does. It does affect the kidneys, but we don't know why. Some animals it's not that bad, some animals it's terrible. Raisins are worse, just like chocolate. So you think about white chocolate. Oh my gosh, my dog ate a piece of white chocolate during Halloween. Hopefully it's fine. Depending on the weight size, of course, it can be more toxic than others. Now, as we go up the scale, it's white chocolate, dark chocolate, coffee beans. I mean, it comes from this, it's in the same line of food. So white chocolate is severe. Dark chocolate is worse. Coffee beans are severe. So be careful about these things. When you go to Starbucks and give your pup whipped cream puppuccino, make sure there's no coffee in that. Caffeine, milk, dairy products, all the same thing. They're all very toxic. Even in cats, you know, milk stereotypically is okay for cats. Not true. A lot of them are lactose intolerant. Same thing as dogs, they're lactose intolerant. Don't give your pets milk. Feed them their normal diet. Don't try to go outside of the norm. There are some types of foods that are okay to feed your pet. Carrots, blueberries. Look it up before you try to feed your animal that thing. Because again, we have onions, we have those things that can literally attack the red blood cells. So be careful. Macadamia nuts, same thing. Macadamia nuts, there's a few different types of nuts. You know, plum pits, peach pits, they should not ingest those things. Macadamia nuts especially as well. And, you know, fat trimmings and bones. Those things are bad. Not only can they be a foreign body, which if you don't know what a foreign body is where a piece of something gets lodged in the intestines. Whether it be the stomach, lower intestine, you know, it gets stuck there and it stays there. They vomit, they have diarrhea, vomit, and you don't know what's going on, they're getting lethargic. These things can become septic. Not only that, but literally cause your animal to die because food can't pass through the intestine. It has to be surgically removed. So you think about socks, bones, little pieces of toys, even tampons. Yes, tampons. Tampons will get lodged. They soak in a whole bunch of material and just stay there. So make sure your pets are not eating foreign bodies, not eating things that could potentially kill them. Raw eggs, raw meat, raw fish. There's a super huge hype right now on raw food diets. Arguably, wolves, you know, they have that raw meat diet. Dogs have been inbred for so many years. They are not wolves anymore. And there are instances and cases of a great healthy life for an animal on a raw meat diet. Typically, that's not the case currently. You take a Shih Tzu that's been bred and bred and bred and inbred so much. These animals, they can't be on a raw meat diet. You know, same thing as us. You're looking at food poisoning, you're looking at salmonella poisoning, you're looking at all these other poisonings that we deal with because these animals are not wolves anymore. Don't feed your pet a raw meat diet. Salt is also not great for pets. It can cause a lot of thirst. It can cause some GI upset along with, so GI upset, we're talking about vomiting and diarrhea. Also a lot of things, salt, depending on the type of salt, it can cause tremors, seizures, even things like that. You don't typically, in the animal medicine field, when we specify that the pet needs a bland diet, unseasoned, unsalted, boiled, boneless, skinless chicken breast. So all of these things can affect them. Just make sure it's an animal is not like us. You want to think that an animal can eat the same thing as us. Not true. Their bodies are completely different. Their blood types are different. Their anatomy is different. Don't give them yeast. Don't give them sugary foods, such as cupcakes and stuff like that. Things that are fatty for us, things that are bad for us, are 10 times worse for them. Now, there's also quite a few poisonous plants that you should be aware about. I'm just gonna read them. Philodendron, oleander, Japanese yew, lily of the valley, autumn crocus, cyclamen, sage palm, diaphanbaca, rhododendron, and tulips. So those are things you should be aware of. As for human medication with dogs specifically, you do not want to give them things like Advil, Aleve, Motrin, Tylenol, all these things that we think are good for us to be pain relievers, to help us with our fevers. These things are terrible for dogs. They are poisonous to dogs. Do not give your pets human medication unless specifically directed by a veterinarian. Benadryl's okay. Alright? There are certain things that are okay, but again, Advil, Aleve, quite a few things with acetaminophen, as well as ibuprofen. Those things are not okay for animals. There are a lot of types of antidepressants that don't work for animals, such as Effexor, Cymbalta, Prozac. Now, Prozac, some types of these medications are prescribed for dogs and cats. I don't think cats take Prozac, but no, that's not true. Cats do take Prozac. Lexapro. Be careful. Do not give your pets human medications unless directed by a veterinarian. So again, ADD, ADHD medications, benzodiazepines, sleeping aids, things like that, they're very, very dangerous for animals. Birth control, same thing. ACE inhibitor, same thing. Beta blocker, same thing. Thyroid hormones, same thing. Cholesterol lowering agents. A lot of medications for humans are not okay for animals. And when it comes into the season of, oops, my dog got into something like Halloween, be careful. Make sure your animals can't reach these things. Make sure they're put away. Otherwise, you're looking at a very expensive trip to the animal ER and potential euthanasia. So you need to take these things seriously. Do not just have chocolate lying around on the floor after your kids go through it while your dog sniffs around. It's just as appetizing to you and me to them. So make sure that they cannot get into these substances. There is a specific type of toxin to cats that you may think is very simple. Oops, I'm out of cat food today. Let's feed them dog food. No, you cannot do that. You feed your cats dog food, they will get heart disease and potentially die early on because you were lazy. Don't just feed them dog food. Dog food is very, very bad for cat food. It has been proven to give them diseases that once they get that, you cannot combat it. So don't just give your cat dog food because you don't have any cat food. Go to 7-Eleven. Go get some cheap cat food for the night until you can get your other cat food that they're normally on. Just don't feed them dog food. There are certain types of poisonous plants for cats. So cats specifically, again, I'm just gonna read this. Specifically sago palm, daffodils, autumn crocus, hyacinth, azaleas, diaphanbachia, cyclamen, tulips, oleander, lilies. Lilies especially, people get lilies in their bouquets, or someone cares about them, they get a whole bunch of group of flowers. You go to the grocery store, you get a whole bunch of group of flowers, and you put it in a vase and you're like, oh, what a beautiful arrangement. If there's lilies in there, even them just rubbing their nose up to the pollen, even them just sniffing the pollen, it can be toxic. And this is fairly common animal ER, that lilies are just so terribly toxic to cats. On top of that, we also have rhododendrons and kalanchoes. So be careful with the plants that you get. My cat, specifically Milk, he loves to chew on my indoor plants. I have a green thumb. I love plants along with animals, and unfortunately, he just thinks they're a yummy salad snack, and I do have to discipline him sometimes and tell him no. But be careful of the indoor plants that you have. If you are thinking about getting an indoor plant, do your research. Make sure if you have a cat, do not get toxic plants, because they might even have just one small ism to go sniff the plant, and then you're looking at an ER bill. Again, $1,000 more. Don't go buy a $10 plant and then possibly have to spend $1,000 on hospitalization. Super big deal. Same thing with marijuana. There is something to know about marijuana toxicity in animals. Marijuana toxicity is very, very toxic. So to dogs and cats alike, if they chew on it, if, like, let's say they go through the trash and there's some ash in your trash can, you dump out your ash. Or they chew up a blunt, they chew up a joint, they decide that they're just interested in the stinky, yucky smell that they're smelling. These toxicities are fairly severe, depending on how much they ingested, especially if they're puppies. Puppies tend to get into it more than bigger dogs. The smaller the dog, the worse the toxicity is. Especially if they eat a lot of it. I mean, they eat their own poop, okay? They eat their own poop, and of course they're gonna eat a whole bunch of stinky plant that they find. So you need to be careful. Things like that. Marijuana does not affect animals the way that it affects us. You have to be very careful about the way that you store your things, your medications, your plants, your candy, your food. If you're not ready to have an animal, don't do it. There's a whole bunch of stuff on the internet to understand how animals work. Just go out there and educate yourself before you get an animal, please. Happy Halloween. I'm sorry that this year has been just nothing but buttholes. Sorry, it sucks. I hope you guys are staying safe out there and enjoying yourselves. If you did enjoy this video, please subscribe. Please give me some likes, comment. Let me know what you are wanting to see. I've really enjoyed making these videos for you guys. So if you are enjoying what you're seeing, give me a what's up. Give me some comments. Tell me what I could do better. If there's anything you're wanting to know. I appreciate you guys for watching, and hope you guys have a good rest of the year and things continue to be okay for you guys. Thanks. One moment, please. I am so sorry, but I have to take my medicine at a certain time.
Yes.
Oh. I hate you. Stop. I think that'll be fine.